Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Stotrasat Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Creation of the Universal Form, Text 40. So this is the last text in this verse, and then we'll be starting the next chapter tomorrow. Yato prapyanya vartanta Vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Please chant. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime deva tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namaha. Mataji, please. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas Tasmai Bhagavate Namah. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanyami devas. Tasmai Bhagavate Namah. Word to word, please repeat. Yataha, from whom? Aprapya, being unable to measure. Nyavartanta, cease to try. Vachaha, words. Cha, also. Manasa, with the mind. Saha, with. Aham cha, also the ego. Anye, other. Ime, all these. Devaha, demigods. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Namaha, offer obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Words, mind and ego, with their respective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto Him as a matter of sanity. Purport. The froggish calculator may raise the objection that if the Absolute is unknowable even by the controlling deities of speech, mind and ego, namely the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra and all the demigods headed by Brihaspati, then why should the devotees be so interested in this unknown object? The answer is that the transcendental ecstasy enjoyed by the devotees in delineating the pastimes of the Lord is certainly unknown to non-devotees and mental speculators. Unless one relishes transcendental joy, naturally one will come back from his speculations and concocted conclusions, because he will see them as neither factual nor enjoyable. The devotees can at least know that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, as the Vedic hymns confirm. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Yat Sada Pashyanti Suraya. Bhagavad Gita 15:15 also confirms this fact. Vedischa sarver aham eva vedya. By culture of Vedic knowledge, one must know Lord Krishna and should not falsely speculate on the words aham or I. The only method for understanding the supreme truth is devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:55. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tatvata. Only by devotional service can one know that the ultimate truth is the personality of Godhead, and that Brahman and Paramatma are only his partial features. This is confirmed in this verse by the great sage Maitreya. With devotion, he offers his sincere surrender, Namaha, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavate. One has to follow in the footsteps of great sages and devotees like Maitreya and Vidura, Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami, and engage in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord if one would know his ultimate feature which is above Brahman and Paramatma. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, sixth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhesya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I seek blessings of all my superiors here. So it's the concluding words of this chapter. And we have been hearing from Maitreya Muni, discussing with Vidura, answering his questions, and now he's concluding and indicating the next topic they will be discussing in the next chapter. And as we heard in the purport, the devotees, they experience transcendental pleasure, transcendental joy by hearing these pastimes. So how do we understand this? We can consider the two personalities involved here. Who is Maitreya Muni? He was there when Lord Krishna personally spoke to Uddhava. So they both were there. And so he is someone who saw Lord Krishna face to face and personally heard from him, which is not everyday event that takes place. So he's a very special soul in that sense. And because he is so realized, he has realized these conclusions, he is able to share this with complete conviction. And that's what we see in these purports by Srila Prabhupada also, the same conviction. And we can see how these purports, they bring such a transformation in people's lives, those who make contact with these purports of Srila Prabhupada. I actually heard from my spiritual master that these purports are the transcendental ecstasies of Srila Prabhupada. And I know when he was here, he was calling Savas Prabhu like the purport man. So we have this really very wonderful association here, and lots of things we can learn and take inspiration from. So same thing we experience hearing these talks when we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. In one of the purports in the 7th canto, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that all these ecstasies that Prahlad Maharaj experienced, exchanging his feelings with Lord Nrsimhadev, one can have same experience that Prahlad Maharaj had in presence of Lord Nrsimhadev just by hearing these pastimes, just by studying these pastimes. It's there in the 7th canto. I think it's in chapter 5. So Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not an ordinary text, and we can see in our own lives, the more we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we become free from these misconceptions about God. I was born in India, and I had so many, as growing up as a child, I had heard about all these different gods, demigods. I had no idea who is who. And there are so many different spiritual groups, organizations, and everyone has their own God. So it's a very like a chaotic situation in the spiritual marketplace. But how this situation was cleared up when Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda came. They broke down this storehouse and they distributed it freely to everyone and anyone without any discrimination. And how did they become so successful? Because they made it so fun, so enjoyable. Everyone wants to have fun. So Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya and he says, okay, I'm going to show you how to have the greatest fun. And what did he do? He was just chanting his own names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what happened? Just by calling out these names of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, he started dancing naturally. So it's a natural thing. We have seen so many in the kirtan, so many people come. Some people, they start dancing, just seeing other devotees dancing. And then other people, they are a little reserved at start, but if they keep coming, if they take a little bit of prasadam, and you see they become a little purified, and naturally you see after a few times, oh, they are also dancing, what's going on? So reading the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see there are so many incidents like that. One of the incident that I remember is Lord Chaitanya talking to this one devotee who was chanting names of Lord Ram constantly. And so when he met with Lord Chaitanya, and then Lord Chaitanya carried on on his travels, they had a little discussion, and he was asking, why are you not chanting names of Krishna? And this devotee was like, all my life I've been chanting names of Lord Ram. He's my master, he's my Lord. But when Lord Chaitanya came back, on his way back, he stopped by this place of this Brahmana again, and he noticed now this Brahmana was chanting names of Krishna constantly, just like before he was chanting names of Ram. So Lord Chaitanya asked him, what happened to you? He said, well, this is in your association. All my life I chanted names of Ram, but in your association something happened. I haven't been able to stop chanting names of Krishna. And I'm sure many of us have met these kind of people who say, I cannot get this name out of my head now. It's like going on in my mind constantly. So that's the nature of the spiritual power invested in the holy names of the Lord. When approached with a sincere intention, it reveals its potency, it reveals its powers, and it has its effect. It cleanses one of all these misconceptions. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is one beautiful verse which elucidates this point. Nivrita tarsay rupagiyamanad bhava oshda shrotra mano biramat kautama shloka gunanuvadat puman virjeta vina pashugnat. So it says Nivrita tarser. This tarse is this trishna, this intense desire, this intense hankering, this lust. Or lust doesn't mean just like desire for sex. It also covers all kinds of attachments, material attachments one may have. One may want like a lot of wealth. One may want some powerful position in the society. So all these things, they come under lust. But in this beautiful verse, it says, Nivrita tarser, one becomes completely free from all these things. How? Just by engaging in hearing and speaking these transcendental pastimes. So one can imagine, just by chanting these names of Krishna, one experiences these kind of transcendental pleasures, ecstasies, joys. Imagine how much more if one makes an attempt to actually know that person whose name it is, how much more pleasure will be there. That's what these devotees they experience. And it's not that they only get that pleasure just by discussing Krishna in Vrindavan. No, that's not the case. They discuss Krishna in Kurukshetra also, where Krishna is with Arjuna fighting a big battle. Many people like action movies. So sometimes when I show the Bhagavad Gita, you meet some people who love action movies or who are in like the forces. I show them the picture. I was like, this is like a great warrior. And imagine like this powerful, wonderful battle scene, and they are having this like a awesome discussion. How we gonna win this battle? So everyone is trying to win all these battles of their life in different situations. But what's the actual battle? The actual battle is to become free from these misconceptions, misunderstandings about who am I, who is God, what's the connection, what's the relationship. And Krishna tells this to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. He says that because you are my friend and you are my devotee, that's why I'm revealing this mystery to you. So one has to at least become little friendly and a little open to exploring these signs. That's when one can understand. Otherwise, just like here it says, even these great demigods, they cannot understand. So what it means is like many of these demigods, they are actually great devotees. Like we hear Brahma, Rudra. They are very advanced devotees also. But even they get bewildered. Suraya Yat Mohaya, it says in the first verse. Even the great demigods, great personalities, they are bewildered from time to time by the potencies of the Lord, by the energies of the Lord. So same way, living entities, they are being bewildered in different ways. And but under the influence by the false ego, ahankar, one thinks that I know everything. I know what is what, and I don't need to hear from anyone else. And whatever I understand is the actual truth. So there is one beautiful pastime actually about Lord Chaitanya meeting this one great scholar. His name is Keshava Kashmiri, right? Keshava Kashmiri. He was like a Pandit, and he is actually devotee of goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So he was a great devotee of goddess Saraswati, and he was actually very learned. He could compose like Sanskrit shlokas, just like without much thought. Now, I don't know how many people we know in our experience who can compose shlokas like that. I definitely don't know. But he was so learned, he could just, when he met Lord Chaitanya, so what he would do is he would go around places and find the most learned person in that place and debate with him. And he would defeat that person in the debate. And that's how he was like showing that how learned he is, and he was trying to establish his supremacy in that way. So we see there are many people like that even these days. You know, some may show their supremacy by trying to execute their power over others, or some like the scientists, the philosophers, they may do it by showing their knowledge. Sports people, they may show it by their skills. So there are different things like this. And that's what this Pandit was doing also. But when he knew like Navadvip is like a place where a lot of learned scholars live. And so all these, when Keshava Kashmiri, he went to Navadvip, all the scholars, they were worried because this guy is going to come and debate with us and he's going to defeat us. And it's not easy to win this guy, so what are we going to do? So they come up with this idea that we're going to bring this guy to Nimai Pandit, and he going to defeat this person. We're going to see what happens. So they have this discussion, and he quoted like shlokas on Ganges, and he made mistake in one of the shlokas. I don't know, it was 58 or 64, one of the numbers like that is mentioned. So when Lord Chaitanya pointed out a mistake, he got shocked. Wow, like I haven't met any person like this who can like point out mistake in my composition. So it was like a big shock. Kind of, he almost accepted defeat in one sense. And he actually went back to Goddess Saraswati and he asked her, how is it? Like this little boy, he pointed out mistake in my composition. I've never met anyone like this. Have I made any mistake in my worship to you? Or what is going on here? I was totally bewildered. How is something like this can even take place? Because his conception was like he's all learned. He has received all the knowledge, and there's nothing beyond him now. So his pride got shattered when he heard Lord Chaitanya pointed out this mistake, and he even gave him whole explanation why he's wrong. Some point he was mentioning about bhava and what it could mean. So wife of Shiva, Parvati, and he's talking about Ganges. So there was some mistake like that, and one would think only a person who knows, only someone like that can point out a detailed mistake like this. So Keshava Kashmiri realized, but then he still didn't accept his defeat. He went to Goddess Saraswati and was asking her, I cannot take it. And she was saying, well, you have to, because the person you are dealing with, he's even my master. So I cannot do anything in this case. So you have to go and accept your defeat and, surrender. And that's when this Pandit realized that there are personalities who are more learned than me. So it's the same thing with the people who have these kind of misconceptions. Krishna, from time to time, he comes and, he lets them know that, hey, look, you are great, but there are people who are greater than you. So take it easy, have some peace of mind. And that's what happened here. But the devotees, so we can see a person who is puffed up with their power, prestige, knowledge. Like Prabhupada, many times he gives example of the scientists, modern scientists. They have made a lot of advancement, but it's interesting, they cannot understand like a simple concept about the spirit soul. And if there is soul, there is a source to it. What is the source? They cannot understand these basic concepts. Now, even many people who are like beginning yogis, they understand these simple things. Now, yes, some yogis, like here it mentions, there are the Brahmavadis. They meditate on the effulgence of the Lord. They meditate on universal oneness. Then there is Paramatmavadis. They meditate on the localized aspect of God in the heart. And then there is the devotees. They meditate on Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, like Srila Prabhupada was mentioning, these devotees, they derive transcendental pleasure in speaking about these pastimes and hearing about these pastimes. There is one beautiful prayer in Sri Ishopanishad actually, and it says that so the Brahmavadis, they are meditating on this effulgence of the Lord, but you see the difference. The devotees, they are actually praying to the Lord, please remove this effulgence. I want to see your beautiful face. So it's a prayer, it's a mantra 15 in Shrishopanishad. Hiranmayena patrena satyasapi hitam mukham tattvam pusan apavrinu satya dharmaya drishtaye. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful explanation to this. I just read a few lines. The conclusion is that one who has no knowledge of the potencies of the Supreme Truth will realize the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, when one realizes the material potencies of the Lord but has little or no information of the spiritual potencies, he attains Paramatma realization. Thus, both Brahman and Paramatma realization of the Absolute Truth are partial realizations. However, when one realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in full potency, after the removal of the Hiranyamaya Patra, one realizes Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Vasudev, is everything, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. He is Bhagavan, the root, and Brahman and Paramatma are his branches. So there are many verses like this in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. But we get the point. But these people, they cannot get this point because they are not purified of these tendencies. There is another beautiful verse which a great king. Now kings, they are very powerful. They are very intelligent people, and many people actually look up to them. Like even these days, big leaders who are very intelligent, people kind of have them as their role models. So this was great King Pratap Rudra, and he wanted to have a meeting with Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya, he's a devotee, but he's acting as a devotee. Is Krishna coming as a devotee, and he's taken this lifestyle of living as a sannyasi, a renounced person. And the culture is generally the sannyasis, they don't like to see these kind of people because they are generally politically minded, and so that's the culture. So Lord Chaitanya is refusing to see this king. But this king, he's also a great devotee, and he's wanting to see Lord Chaitanya. But again and again, Lord Chaitanya refuses. No, I don't want to king, like not even in dreams. I would never want to see a person like that. But so we have to understand the context. If we don't understand the context, we will totally misunderstand the whole point. So in the culture, the sannyasis, they don't meet with political people because their ways of thinking are different. And a sannyasi, they are like totally absorbed in their spiritual practice. They only want to see people who want to learn spiritual wisdom. So that's his reason. And they have usually they have a lot of attachments. They have ego, they have pride. Oh, I'm such a powerful person. I have so much wealth. I have so many servants. So there are many reasons Lord Chaitanya has. And but then time to time, devotees, they try to make some arrangements so the king could see Lord Chaitanya. Now, at this one occasion, he got an opportunity to see Lord Chaitanya. And this was during the Rath Yatra, when in between Lord Chaitanya took a break. He went to this park, and he was just like resting there. So his teacher, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, told the king that what you do is you wear a devotee's dress, because he's a king. In a big festival, he has to come in his dressed like a king. But his guru told him that this won't work. Change your dress like a simple devotee, and go in that way. And you can go and say some prayers, because when Lord Chaitanya is resting, you say some beautiful prayers, and he will get into spiritual trance, and he wouldn't see that you are a king. He would be very happy to meet you in that way. So you see, devotees, they make so many arrangements to encourage people in their bhakti practice. We also see in our little endeavors, we do so many things. Some devotees may be more expert, some devotees may be not so expert, but everyone tries to do something. So here also his guru was making so many arrangements. He would even personally ask Lord Chaitanya, please, this king is like such a great devotee of you. And Lord Chaitanya was like, no way, no king comes to see me. And but this time he went and he was singing these beautiful prayers. One of the prayers he sang, Lord Chaitanya totally got into like a spiritual trance, and he jumped up and embraced him, and he started saying so many beautiful words to him. I know many of you know this prayer, but let me see if my memory will help me remember this. It's a beautiful prayer. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shanamangalam srimad atatam bhuvi granantiye burida jana. So this is a whole chapter. It has such a beautiful meter to it. You can sing the whole chapter like this. When I was in India, at this temple in Radha Govinda in Noida, it's a little town near Delhi, and there's a very beautiful temple of Shri Radha Govinda ji. And this one devotee, during Kartik month, they would sing this every night. When the last kirtan is happening, after the kirtan, they would end with this whole chapter. They would sing this together. It was such an enlivening experience. And that's what helped me remember this verse. Because they sing it. When you sing, it's easier to remember songs than just a bunch of words. But what this verse means, it's amazing. Like every word has so powerful meaning. Just to keep it short, kalma shapaham means it frees one from all material afflictions, all kind of material misconceptions, all kind of material ideas one has. It completely frees one from them. What? Tav katha amritam. So hearing talks about Krishna, hearing pastimes about Krishna, it's like amrita, it's like nectar. And when we hear that, this is what happens. It makes us completely free from these material misconceptions. Why? Because these messages, it says, Srimad, they are filled with spiritual power, spiritual potencies. So when we hear them, we come in touch with those potencies. We may not know, but they have effect. And we all can say that for ourselves, how it has helped us evolve in our own practices. But recently, I'll just finish with this. There are so many points. I met this one boy, and he actually came with a friend here a couple of weeks ago. So they've been here like 2-3 times. And just yesterday, he sent me a text that I stopped eating meat. For last 2 weeks, I've been eating vegetarian, and I feel so good. And I remember the second time they came, I didn't tell them anything mystical or anything, whatever. I was just sharing, this is what we do. We chant Hare Krishna. And they actually liked the kirtan. And we had prasadam together. They loved the prasadam. It was Gauranga Prem Prabhu. He makes this special Chinese rice. And they loved it. I was like, this is simple rice, man. What do you love about this? You probably eat at so many nice restaurants and all these kind of places. What are you finding in this, simple rice preparation? But they loved it, and they were like, one of them was like, oh, can I get one more plate? The other guy, he eats a lot, so he's like, is it possible I can get more? I was like, sure. So this one boy, he's a young boy, just like 20 years old, 21. So he sends me a text yesterday. I was like, well, if you have been doing that, we're going to invite you for like a special lunch. You have to come and take lunch with us and then see what other kinds of prasadam is there. So he was like, sure, I'll definitely come one day. So we see like there is a lot of power and potency, and we experience that to various degrees. But just like these demigods, they are like, they are doing so much service. They have been given these positions by the Lord himself. But still, from time to time, they come under illusion. They are swayed by illusion. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is reminding us by his own example all the time, that we do not have to be proud. A devotee is proud to have like such a great master, such a great Lord. That's what a devotee is proud of. That's what we see the cowherd boys. They are proud of having a great friend like Krishna. They can just depend on him and they can just enter any kind of situation. They don't care. They know Krishna is there. So this is called a devotee's dependence on Krishna. We see like some devotees who preach in like difficult areas. You know, here in America everything is pretty cool. You can just go anywhere and you are welcomed. But there are places where devotees are not welcomed, you know. So, but devotees are preaching in those areas, and they are getting like amazing responses also. But we see the more risk one takes, the more dependence on Krishna one can develop. So Prabhupada always encouraged his devotees to take risk for Krishna. That's what I'm taking from this. We can take a little bit more risk than what we are taking, and we can experience much and much more pleasure. So that's for everyone to decide how much pleasure we want to experience through all these beautiful things. So I will stop here. And Mataji has some burning comment or question or whatever it is. We'll just hear one and we can end.
You want me to repeat it? Okay. So you was talking about. So I was saying thank you. That was a really nice class, and I was just thinking about how the kirtan is very ecstatic, and how we can really, relish Krishna consciousness in kirtan, and how Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his song Shuddha Bhakta, Gaurabhita Kirtana Shuni Ananda Hridaya Nache, that when I hear the kirtan as ordained by Lord Chaitanya, my heart dances in ecstasy. So there is a tradition of kirtan, and I think all of us, for experiencing more ecstasy, we can learn more things about how the kirtan progresses, how the different tals, the beats progress, so that it's like the material vehicle that carries the spirit and makes it fly in kirtan. Like today our kirtan was very ecstatic, and sometimes, like some people, some think they know, but actually they could learn some more things, and it would improve the kirtan and the ecstasy of everyone, which will push up the enthusiasm level of everyone for devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we here in the Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya has these different kirtan parties, and there would be expert mridanga players and kartal players. So we can all definitely learn a lot more. We definitely don't have a lot of expert kartal players and mridanga players. Sometimes we have to look around who's going to play the mridanga. So, yeah, thank you, Mataji, for reminding us. But yeah, not only in that area, like in all the areas, there is like so much more we can do. And we can take inspiration like this, but especially for kirtan, like we see Shyam Murari Prabhu is teaching some of the devotees. I tried to learn a tune from him. So, whatever service we have, the thing is that when we have this mood of learning and we put some effort, then Krishna reciprocates. But if we are not putting the effort, we have this energy, what are we doing with it? When we put that energy, then Krishna steps in. But if we don't put an effort, Krishna is like, come on man, I'm waiting for you. Are you going to do something? So let's get together and do something nice, especially for this Rath Yatra. We see like people are reciprocating with us so nicely. So let's make this Rath Yatra a special one. So people in LA, they will be like, wow. Actually, just yesterday I was talking to one person and he was like, I haven't seen you guys for so long. Where have you been? I was like, don't worry. Here, you can come for this Rath Yatra and you can see where have we been. We've been restricted quite a lot. But in Rath Yatra, you will see the whole picture. So he was so happy. He was like, sure, I'm going to make for this. So, yeah, there's lots to do. But we have like so much good association and inspiration. So let's take advantage of this. Okay, thank you very much. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Are you staying for breakfast? Yes.